If you guys are thinking about calling Rancho Bernardo home, there's some good, there's some bad, pros and cons. So we're gonna jump into all that. We're gonna start off with the cons because if those are not gonna work for you, you can cross it off the list. But let's get into it right now.
First con is it is pretty quiet and there is not a ton of nightlife. Could be a pro for you also, but that might be why you're thinking about Rancho Bernardo. But it is a con for some people. There's not a ton of restaurants. There's not a ton of nightlife. It's got a lot more of that like country club. You're outside during the day and you got to go to towns kind of around here to get to a lot of restaurants. There are a few here and there within Rancho Bernardo, but it is not abundant. So it's kind of like the rest of North County. It's kind of quiet after 10 o'clock. There are some cool spots to definitely check out. There's winery, there's country clubs, there's things like that, but not a ton of nightlife.
The next con is a lot of Rancho Bernardo is older. So Rancho Bernardo is the city of San Diego. So if you look on a map, you're going to see city of San Diego, obviously downtown San Diego, all those surrounding areas, La Jolla's, certain parts of central San Diego, and then it just kind of goes up as you're going up to 15 towards Escondido. There's little spots that are the city of San Diego. Now, people say they live in Rancho Bernardo. They don't say they're living in the city of San Diego, but this was all built out with a master plan community in mind. So it was all built out starting in the early 60s, then you had the 70s, then you had the 80s as all these communities were built out. And during that time, it was, in this early 60s, it was brand new construction. So they had sales offices set up here like any master plan community you see today. Like if you're, depending on where you're coming from, we have some people who are out in Florida, the other agents that we chat with, and some of their master plan communities are like brand new, big old areas. That's how this was originally, where you have the golf courses in the middle, you have all the homes surrounding it, you have different little neighborhoods, little villages, but a lot of it as a whole is older. So like 80s and before, you find a little bit newer here and there, but for the most part, that's what you're going to find.
Like Chris mentioned, a lot of master plan communities, which brings a lot of HOAs. The majority of Rancho Bernardo is going to have HOA restrictions. It's going to have HOA fees. So if you're looking for more of that, like custom, I don't want to have an HOA, this is probably not the jam for you.
Yeah.
But if you are looking for clean neighborhoods, well manicured, everything's really well maintained and kind of just kept in the same way it's been for a really long time. So obviously there's pros and cons of an HOA, but if you're looking for a spot that doesn't have one, this is not the spot for you.
Yeah, definitely lack of character in houses. So as you get some of the coastal communities, more character, more custom builds, all that. We're looking at Fairway Point right behind here, and it's same color, different styles of houses. So,
it's Rancho Bernardo style.
It's Rancho Bernardo style. Yeah,
Rancho
but different. It's not all the exact same floor plan, right? You got different floor plans, but they're all relatively similar. There's a bunch of little neighborhoods, little villages that have their own community centers and stuff. We'll get into all that in a sec, but depends, like each one's going to have its own specific kind of design, its own aesthetic.
Yep.
But they're all kind of like,
So yeah, kind of the same.
Yeah, there we go. This next one has to do with getting around. As with a lot of cities, especially here in North County, San Diego, it's very car dependent. So when you're moving out here, expect to be getting a car. If it's you and your wife, your husband, whoever, you got other family members, they're likely going to get cars too, going to need cars. Now we have a few friends and stuff like who do get around. They'll, Uber it from here to there. There's some kids on my son's soccer team who they'll Uber it to the games. They don't have cars. That's one style to do it. Seems a little bit more annoying, especially if you are traveling a lot, if you're going to work, if you're going to the beaches, if you're going out and about, you're going to need a car, more or less. There's not a ton of public transportations. The trains are along the coast, trolleys. There's some going up to 78, which is way north of here. So it actually ends in Escondido, which is the next city up, but it's still quite a trek to get from there to here. So definitely get a car, just something throughout most parts of San Diego.
The next con is just kind of proximity to the beach. So it is an inland area. Rancho Bernardo is kind of in that Escondido, Poway area of inland San Diego. And so it is a hike to the beach. It says 30 to 35 minutes, but it can be a little bit more than that. That probably gets you down to like Torrey Pines
Yeah,
beach.
That's exactly. I was looking it up this morning because I just wanted to see no traffic. How long is it taking? We were trying to film at the community park. The freeway's right behind it. So a little bit too loud, even though you're going to hear some cars going in the background here. But anyways, I went from that point to the nearest beach, which would be going down the 15 freeway, cut across the 56, and you end up at Torrey Pines. And it said 28 minutes.
Which is a great beach. So it is, if you're going to be going to the beach a lot.
There's a big parking lot down there.
Yeah, it's a great spot. So it's not super far. It just is, it's going to be further than some of the other kind of North County or San Diego coastal cities.
Yeah, and if you're going during rush hours, the main ways to get through, you can do side roads. I love taking all the side roads to get to a lot of places, but The main way that Google Maps was having me go, if we did take it, was freeway. So if you go on rush hours, weekends, you're probably okay. But yeah, you're definitely going to hit a little bit more and add a little bit more time, especially if you want to go to other beaches and expand beyond Torrey Pines. If you want to go to Del Mar's, Encinitas, to Solana Beach, all those places, a little bit further up the coast. If you're looking for homes right here in Rancho Bernardo, it's a smaller footprint than some other cities. So population is about 45,000. A big chunk of the housing around up to the north, not the golf course, the Heights right here, but the golf course to the north. A lot of that is 55 plus neighborhood. So if you're looking and you don't need 55 plus, you don't want 55 plus, whatever the case may be, that's going to cut down the number of homes that you're going to be searching. So a lot of it, when it got master planned, it was built out. But as far as 45,000, it's kind of like a mid-sized city right here in San Diego. You have some smaller ones, obviously Del Mar is super small. Then you get into some bigger ones like Oceanside. I mean, like I said, Rancho Bernardo is the city of San Diego, which is the biggest city here in San Diego County at 1.3 million or so. But this is that little neighborhood within it. So anyway, smaller footprint, smaller number of homes for sale, just a smaller area to kind of explore.
So this is a big one. This is a big con. It can be a con in a lot of San Diego area, but Rancho Bernardo, there is some fire risk. And there is some history of fire risk here. With any city that's kind of surrounded by canyons, which you do have to the west here, have to the east, a little bit to the north, there's always a little bit more fire risk when you have natural vegetation around you. And there was a pretty large fire, the Witch Fire, I think like late 90s.
No, I think it was 2007-ish.
Oh, 2007.
Somewhere in there.
So,
yeah. I mean, there's probably been multiple, but
yeah,
you guys can look it up. But yeah, there has been fires surrounding here in recent history.
That makes sense, because I knew I wasn't living here when it happened. So
oh, you were up in
I was
north?
up in the Bay Area, yeah.
So 2007, we got it. Somewhere in that zone.
So there is some risk, there is some history. Some of the older houses too, there's just a little bit more, they're a little more susceptible to fire damage. Like the houses we're looking at now all have concrete roofs, they all have stucco walls, they're a little bit more protected, but kind of the older houses, if it gets into a neighborhood like that, it can really do a lot of damage.
Next part of RB, that's what the locals call it, RB, is the lack of like a central downtown. As you get to a lot of different cities in here, I was going to say coastal cities, but even like Escondido just to the north, they have their kind of main street downtown where local restaurants, shops, bars, all that kind of stuff. This area doesn't really have that. With a lot of the different neighborhoods, you're going to find little shopping centers. The main shopping center is kind of in this area that we just passed coming through here. And it is the plaza where you're going to find, not big box stores, because that's a con as well. But you're going to find some grocery stores around there. You're going to find some, chain restaurants, this and that, Starbucks, whatever. And then sprinkled here and there, you're going to find some local stuff. But also within each neighborhood, you might find a little shopping center. Westwood has its own little shopping center over there. So that's where that little dive bar we mentioned is. That's where there's another Starbucks, all that kind of stuff. So anyways, but there's no central hub. So it's not a destination. It's not like people are coming to Rancho Bernardo. They might be going to Rancho Bernardo Inn. They might be going to the golf course for a wedding. Cassidy has to cough real quick. But
I tried to hold off as long as I could.
But they're not, it's not like some of the coastal cities, like they're not going to Del Mar to go downtown to go have dinner and that kind of stuff. So, a lot of the people who are here, that's when you're out and about to the restaurants, it's going to be locals, it's going to be that kind of vibe.
So the next con is higher than usual housing prices. So just kind of the average suburban neighborhoods, Rancho Bernardo tends to be a little bit higher. The average is right between 1.15 and 1.2 right now for a detached house. So that's just a little bit higher than the average. Just something to consider when you're thinking about other neighborhoods. Obviously, there's communities around here that are a little bit more affordable. Rancho Bernardo tends to just be a little more expensive.
So if those cons didn't scare you away and you guys want some more info, go actually down in the description right below is our local area guide for Rancho Bernardo, breaking down a few of the shopping centers, a few of the top neighborhoods or most popular neighborhoods right here in Rancho Bernardo, and a few other amenities. So all that link is right down below in the description. Go check that out. But let's jump right into the pros.
All right, let's get into the pros. So first one, a big one. And it's a lot of big reason people move to this part of San Diego, whether it be here, whether it be Poway, Forest Ranch, there's a couple other communities. It's the Poway School District. It is a huge plus for a lot of people. It's one of the top school districts, ratings-wise, in San Diego, always. It's just always one of the top ones. So that is also part of the reason that the price point's a little bit higher than some other neighborhoods around us too, just because it's a huge draw. It's a huge reason people move here, and not just the schools themselves, but the programs they have. There's just a lot of very big positives about the Poway School District.
And as always, when we're talking about schools, and you guys could look on all the school ratings, niche.com, all those, and get is it A+, whatever it is. But also go to the Poway Unified School District website, and you go on there, and every school will have SARC, a school accountability report card, where they break down every year, and it's this full report that breaks down a lot more detail, what's going on in the school, all that kind of stuff. It gives you some insight. If you guys are looking for like a specific program too, it'll show all that on there, not on the SARC, but on the actual school website. So dive in a little bit more. Yeah, go through with the ratings. If you have people out here, chat with them, but also do your own research and kind of figure out if these schools are right for you. And the next pro that people do like this place, and it was kind of the con with the HOAs and the conformity of all the houses and everything looking, but it is a master plan community. Like I said, it was one of the OG, that's how they designed this place, as a master plan community. So everything was designed out, and within these like different communities, you're going to find these different community centers. So there's certain ones where you have pools, where I think there's one with a little mini golf course, there's pickleball courts, there's all this kind of like community amenities where you could go, your family could go. If you have guests, there's certain guest parameters that they could go. You get a certain amount of guest passes per year at certain ones, but they're all within these different little neighborhoods.
And then also with the master plan, you just have that community feel that kind of sticks around. It's also, just even aesthetically, it's gorgeous trees everywhere. There's a lot of the homes, they do look the same, but they look clean, and neighborhoods like well kept and all that, which the HOA and the master plan communities help with. Another important pro is that there is really good access to a lot of employment opportunities. So in Rancho Bernardo proper, there are some great businesses that have come in here, even just kind of the surrounding areas. Also, you got Northrop Grumman, maybe Apple, we don't know.
Apple did purchase big, like 67-acre campus in 2022, I believe, and with the intention of bringing, they already have like a campus over by a little bit more coastal, a little bit, I think it's La Jolla, somewhere in there. It's a smaller campus. This one, they were trying to bring in like 5,000 people by 2026. So I don't know.
I think it's where my buddy works.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah,
well,
sure.
I think it's there. They just, maybe they keep it on the down low.
Yeah.
They don't actually, advertise where it's at, but yeah, they do. I know they did have plans, and his buddy works there, so I guess it's got to be real.
And then Sony is also here too. So there's a bunch of businesses right here in Rancho Bernardo, Poway, kind of in that kind of business corridor. You also have the 15 freeway, which cuts Rancho Bernardo kind of in half. And that can get you anywhere. So that gets you up north if you're going up commuting to Temecula, Escondido, gets you down south if you're commuting down into downtown San Diego or Sonora Valley, Kearny Mesa, any of those spots that have a lot of employment opportunities. There is fast track too. So if you are commuting on a daily basis, there is, you can get the fast pass to be able to get to, or fast track to be able to get to some of those areas, and with not a ton of traffic.
What is the fast track? They don't know.
It is a pass that you can buy where you get to drive in the HOV lane, even as a solo person, and it just cuts out a lot of traffic in those like really high traffic times.
Yeah, it's just the center lanes. It's like its own little jam, straight down all the way down the 15. Next pro is you get a lot of outdoor, a lot of space, a lot of recreation, especially we mentioned in here it's dense, but it's kind of separating a lot of this. You do have golf courses, so if you're a golfer, now you have Rancho Bernardo in at the top of it, the north side. You have the Heights right here. What's the middle one? The Oaks. I think it's par 3. I believe it's private as well. This one's private. Oaks might be private. Rancho Bernardo Inn, you go there. We've golfed there.
JC course.
Yeah. It's still expensive. It was like $110 or something when I went.
It's very nice though. When we played tournaments and stuff, like that's a way to look for tournament opportunities there, because it is a good spot to hit.
Yeah, and you have, you see weddings and all that kind of stuff. They have events. We've been to a few real estate events over there as well. Anyway, so you got golf. If you like golf, great. There's also a bunch of hiking around. So just to the west, you have Lake Hodges, and from Rancho Bernardo Community Park, there's a few trailheads that go around there, and you go out for a handful of miles, and it's cool. I parked there, it must have been earlier this year, and you hike out, and there's this like little point in the middle of Lake Hodges, and like I've seen it, I've been fishing there a bunch of times, but seeing it and then actually going there is super cool. So anyways, there's a bunch of trails. If you go to the east, you're gonna find some more trails. That's like, the inside is dense, but once you get to the outskirts, you do find a lot more hiking, a lot more outdoors, a lot more of those kind of activities. So you get to enjoy the sun out here too. You're a little further inland, so it tends to get a little bit warmer here. Kind of, we're throwing it back to the cons, I guess, a little bit. But right now, it is October 2nd. Standing in the breeze a little bit. We couldn't get distracted by, if you guys seen our other videos, trash truck. It's not trash day, but you'll see it on our vlog, so go check those out. But it's beautiful day.
Yeah,
breeze coming through here. Even though you're not coastal, you got enough canyons and enough elevation and changes where you're gonna have some nice breezes coming through here. So anyways, if you're moving to San Diego, you want to get outdoors, this would be an ideal spot for you.
And on top of some of those outdoor activities, getting outside, there are some cool local events and activities. You have the Rancho Bernardo Winery, which is really cool, kind of tucked in the hills, actually kind of within a neighborhood, but it's kind of its own feel.
Yeah, they have a little restaurant there. They have a little coffee shop
vendors
there. Yeah, you go. We brought our kids out there, so there was a little grass area. You get a bottle of wine, share it with your friends. There's like a little candy store there. So, anyways, it's kind of like a little village, I guess.
Yeah.
Of Rancho Bernardo.
Yeah, it's a cool spot. Definitely worth checking out. You also have Rancho Bernardo is an event that's coming up. We just chatted about it on our podcast, which anywhere you get podcasts, you can always check us out. It is the same. It's Livin in San Diego.
Livin in San Diego podcast.
So definitely check it out. Chat a little bit more about like the breweries that are going to be there and all that. So a cool event here. You're also really close to the Wild Animal Park, just in Escondido. It's probably a 15 or 20 minute drive from here. If you haven't been there, it's different than the zoo. It's a great spot to just go out and walk. Annual passes are pretty affordable too. So that's what my family has done since my kids were actually maybe before we even had kids. So just a really cool spot to check out.
And there's also RB Alive. I was looking online. So it's like their street fair. On their site, it had the date for 2024. It was like the 37th annual or something like that. I didn't see it. I couldn't find it this year. It would be right around this time, like September, October, somewhere around there. So I'm not sure if it happened this year. But anyways, they do likely have a street fair every year or have had in the past. Another pro about living out here is the convenience, and you don't think about it, especially like we don't live out here. We live a little more coastal. He lives in San Marcos, but it is, you know, driving around, you're thinking Rancho Bernardo, there's not a ton of little shopping centers and stuff, but even driving through today, there's a lot more than I remember. I mean, you know, when we're out here, we're usually showing houses and this and that, so it's a little bit different focus, but if you're living out here, you're gonna find, you know, like I said, your little local shopping centers in all these little spots with a little store, a little grocery store, the bigger ones, the plaza over here. Now, big box stores, you're gonna have to go a little bit further south. So just south of Rancho Bernardo is where you're gonna find Target, you can find Home Depot, another big shopping center in Carmel Mountain Ranch. So all that directly to the south. And then if you shoot up the 15, just to the north, it is the mall. So I mean, whatever, everything you need over there.
Another Target.
Another Target. Yeah. Yeah, it's a big mall. It's been there forever. I remember going there, you know, what was the place you went? Red Robin?
Red Robin's still there.
Is it still there?
BJ's is still there.
Still kicking
there's
around.
Some good restaurants in there.
Yeah. By good.
But good. Chain. But it's tasty. Tasty.
Tasty. Not the local spots. But anyways, you have all that convenience like right here. So as with most of our suburbs, they have it built out where you have all the conveniences you need with nail salons, you have, you know, repair shops, automotive repair shops, dental places, all that in here. So it's going to be pretty easy to find those spots.
The next pro is there's not a ton of growth here in Rancho Bernardo. Why is that a pro? It's because what you see is what you get. There's not going to be a lot of change. There's not going to be a lot added. This city was designed and kind of built to have the right amount of infrastructure. Parks are, everything was very well organized. And so it's kind of great the way it is now. So you're not going to see a lot of change.
And a lot of these pros that we've talked about also spill into a lot of the other cities or areas around here or have a lot of similarities to a few other spots. But if you guys want to know where those are and expand your search a little bit, maybe it's Rancho Bernardo, maybe it's a few of these other spots, we could get you dialed in and help you figure out the perfect spot for you to live because we got your back when making the move here to San Diego.